Is Jesus the only way to God? That's a question we answered on the Substack that you can see linked down below in the description. And if this is your first time checking out Theologetics, that's kind of what we do around here, is we ask hard questions and try to answer them, because we want to think deeply, live faithfully, and reclaim wonder as we pursue after God with both our head and our hearts. Intellect and emotion do not have to be at odds. I think they can work together, especially in this pursuit. So I'm super grateful that you've taken some time today, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna answer the question, what kind of God says there's only one way? And that's the real question underneath this whole exclusivism controversy, isn't it? People don't just struggle with the idea of Christian exclusivity, they struggle with what it implies about God's character. Is he narrow-minded? Is he tribal? Is he unfair? Now let's step into that tension, not just to like flatten it, but to follow it all the way to the heart of the gospel. First, I want you to consider this. If there really is a God who made the world, who knows us better than we know ourselves, and who cares enough to reveal himself, wouldn't it make sense that there would be a true way to relate to him? Not a dozen conflicting guesses and not a vague path paved by human effort, but a true way, clear, consistent, and personal. That's what Christianity claims. Not because Christians think they're better, but because God didn't leave us guessing. In Jesus, God didn't just send a message. He sent himself. Think about that. In every other religion, the burden is on us to reach God, to obey enough, to meditate enough, to serve enough. And even then, in some religions, it's kind of just a last second decision on if you get in. But Christianity is the opposite. It says God reached for us. He didn't stay distant. He put on flesh. He entered the mess. And he didn't just come to teach, he came to rescue. And that rescue has a shape, a cross, a tomb, an empty grave. If there's only one way, it's not because God is stingy, because he's specific. His love is not generic. It's not vague spirituality. It's incarnate, tangible, historical. It cost him something, and not just any something, the main something, his one and only son. To say that Jesus is the only way isn't to draw a tight circle around who God lets in. It's to marvel at how far he was willing to go to bring us in. So maybe the real scandal of the gospel isn't that it's exclusive, but maybe it's that it's just so radically generous. He didn't owe us a way. We didn't do anything to deserve this. If you look at scripture all throughout Israel's history that leads up to the New Testament, to when Jesus came, and even after that, as you look at how the New Testament authors wrote to the churches that were started after and as a result of the resurrection, you can see that we didn't really deserve this. There's nothing in human history that says mankind has earned this way, but he still made one anyways. And then he opened the door wide, not to the worthy, not to the religious elite, but to anyone who would come. So what kind of God says there's only one way? The kind who comes to find you himself. And the beauty of this exclusivity, of this character of God being the only way, yes, there is a high threshold of entry. There is a clear, definite way to get in, if you will. But it's not a restrictive way. It says simply, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believed that he was raised from the dead, you will then be saved. It's not saying you have to go through a catechism, you have to be a part of this ritual for X amount of months or X amount of years. It's not that you have to do anything beyond belief. So that is the beauty and the character of the God who says there is only one way. If this resonated with you at all, if you found this interesting whatsoever, and you haven't checked out the Substack that accompanies this video, I would love for you to check out that link down in the description. If this is something that you want to continue thinking about, continue walking through some of these harder questions every Friday, I will address this while we're walking through the content in Substack. I'm not going to try and rehash, but I'm trying to supplement the conversation to make it a little bit more real rather than just words on a page. And that's where you come into this as well. If you are interested in having that conversation, I'd love for you to leave a comment. Ask questions that you may have about this God who says he's the only way. I'd love to tell you more about him. If you want to follow along on this journey, you can subscribe to the Substack or to this YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. All you need is an email account. And I'm sure that if you've Googled anything or have a Gmail account, then you already have a YouTube account, and then you can use that email to subscribe to the Substack. Also, many of us are on TikTok. I have been posting there a little bit more on the pastoral side, a little bit more unpacking scripture. If that's something else you want to follow along with, I'd love to have you over there on TikTok. But I am super grateful that you took some time today as we talked about this kind of hard subject. And I hope to see you next time as we continue trying to think deeply, live faithfully, and reclaim wonder as we pursue after God with both our heads and our hearts.